All right, welcome to Module 3. In this module, our expert will teach you about creating the actual ad itself and launching the campaign. So get ready to take some notes and let's jump right in.
All right, so here we are on the actual ad creative page. Now, an ad in Twitter is a tweet. That's important to understand. And what you can do is reach back into past existing tweets and turn those into promotional tweets. Or you could just create one from scratch. Now, in our case, we've got one right here. And you can shuffle, by the way, by organic tweets that you've done in the past, scheduled tweets, and promoted-only tweets. Right now we have a scheduled tweet that happens to exist. We can utilize this as our Twitter ad, and you really want to match your ad copy to what your campaign goals are. So obviously, if your campaign goals had been website clicks and conversions, well, then you would want some type of a call to action that leads to people clicking and leaving Twitter to go to your site. In our case, we chose followers. So we want more and more followers. And that basically means we want people to look at our ad for a little while, and we want it to speak to them. We want them to answer a question, because if they engage with our ad, for example, by leaving a comment, they'll probably be more likely to hit the follow button as well and follow us on Twitter. So that's how we sort of structured this ad here. Now, let's go ahead and select it. We'll hit next. Oh, and I should mention, users' timelines is the default setting because that's what Twitter is. That's like 90% of Twitter is the timeline. Okay, but you can also choose to sneak your ads into profile pages and tweet detail pages, which we'll leave selected to increase our reach. Next. All right, so here we are. We can review the details of our campaign and ad group and our audience targeting one final time. We've got our date, we've got our budget, we've got our pacing, we've got our ad group, we've got our audience right here. We've got our placement that we chose, and right here is our actual ad, okay? So a compelling image that sort of pops out, plus a question. Our favorite song to play during piano lessons was such and such. What was yours? All right, so hopefully we'll actually get some comments, some answers, and people choosing to follow us on Twitter so we can increase our organic reach, and that is pretty much the only reason that we're running this ad. That's our campaign goal. We would hit Launch Campaign. And there you go. Now, once your campaign is published, you're going to want to regularly monitor these stats right here. Okay? You want to keep an eye particularly on impressions, so your overall ad spend, your results, which in our case, once again, we're looking for follows, your results rate, which is going to be a combination of impressions and results, your cost per ad result, which is very important. That's sort of your main metric. That's going to be a combination of your overall spend and the results, and how that's matching up against your daily budget. And of course, keep an eye on how much money you have left as well. But you're going to want to adjust your ad groups and your angles and so on and so forth if you're noticing that the performance that you're getting here is not quite up to par and you're not getting your best bang for your buck out of the budget that you're putting into your ads. So make sure you come back here, monitor your campaigns, compare them with each other, compare them with past data, and keep on top of this so that you are actually getting the results that are best for you for every single cent that you put into Twitter's pockets. But that is it, guys. We have successfully gone through the entire process now of planning out, setting up, and launching our first ad on Twitter.
Hey folks, welcome to Module 2. In this module, our expert will be covering ad groups and targeting. So get ready to take some notes and let's jump right in.
All right, so here we are on the ad group page. Now the first thing you'll notice is that some of these variables seem to conflict with the variables on the campaign creation page. However, this is overlap, okay? This is sort of compartmentalization. The idea is you can have multiple ad groups, and so why not compartmentalize and have one ad group with one angle that ends on a certain day and then have the other one with a different angle take over on a certain day, all within the same campaign. Same thing goes for budget here. You can sort of narrow down and sub-allocate budget to a specific ad group within a campaign if you only want to spend X amount on one marketing angle or one specific type of targeting or something along those lines, but still keep it within one overall sort of umbrella campaign. The next thing here is bid type. Now, by default, it's actually set to automatic bid. If you've done your homework, if you have a pretty solid understanding of the market value of bids for, the various types of engagements or clicks or objectives that you're going for, if you've done your homework, target cost can be something that you can incorporate into your campaign. However, if you haven't and you're new to Twitter ads, it's best if you just let Twitter and their algorithms handle this for you. Then we're going to hit next. This will bring us to our audience page. This is where the magic happens. So our audience page, the first option that you have is if you already have existing audiences, saved audiences. For example, let's say you've got retargeting pixels out there, and you've got Twitter maintaining a list of people who are interacting with your content on the web. You could actually incorporate these right here. We're not going to do that. Demographics. Ideally, before you run any ad campaign, you should have done some market research, or you should already know who your ideal customer avatar is, based on all sorts of information. You would take that avatar, and then you would use these variables here to match that as much as possible. So age, gender, where they're located, what type of technology they use, and generally speaking, if you haven't done that research, you should try to leave it a little bit broad, okay? So unless you know that your product is going to be more marketable to females, either because of common sense, if it's a female-related product, or you've got market research specifically, that where you actually did the studying, you hit the books, and you found out that males are more likely to buy product X than females. Unless you've done that kind of stuff, you should leave this more or less broad. Down here, you've got an odd collection of different things that you can specify. Locations, that's obviously pretty common. You can choose countries, you can narrow down to states, regions, that sort of thing, even zip codes. However, the rest of these are a little bit unusual. Operating system version is something that you can target by if you only want people using this or that operating system. Same thing for device models. That's pretty specific. Platforms that they're using. Languages, that's not super special. We see that type of thing all the time. And even carriers. They're mobile carriers. So depending on what you're marketing exactly, those might be relevant to you. Most people probably won't end up using these or narrowing down by these ones right here, though. Just language and location could come in handy for most of you. The next thing here is going to be the audience feature. This is where you get into sort of that Facebook style narrowing down of people by their interests, by their past behavior, that sort of thing. So we could, let's say just for grins, we're a piano company. We want to narrow down by people who might be interested in learning to play the piano. And so we're going to go into interests, and we're going to click on music and radio, and we're going to find classical down here, for example, and hit add. And boom, there you go. We just had approximately, what did it say? Music and radio. It'll give you an estimate on the right-hand side. 381,000 people who Twitter has positively identified as having shown evidence of being interested in classical music at some point in the past. Okay, so that's a pretty powerful way to target people. And as you can see, we've got a target summary or an audience summary right here on the right hand side that changes as you shape and narrow your audience. Now, recommendations is an interesting one. Basically, Twitter will figure out what the most popular hashtags and usernames are based on the audience that you've selected, and then they will incorporate those usernames and hashtags into your marketing for even further targeting. Now, the problem with that for us is we set all of our demographics to super broad. So because we're so broad, I don't know that having Twitter's algorithms go out and find popular hashtags and usernames associated with this demographic is going to be of any use to us at all. So I'm going to leave that turned off, but it definitely sounds like something worth exploring depending on how narrow your audience becomes and how narrow your demographics get. Now, another new feature here is retargeting people who saw or engaged with past tweets. That is a huge, very, very powerful way to sort of spend your ad dollar on specifically people who are already familiar with your brand, so that you're not getting as much in the way of cold looks, but you're getting some warm audience as well. Once we've got our audience all set up and selected, we're going to hit next, and that's going to bring us to the actual ad creative, which is what we'll cover in the next lesson.